I'm Nick Vermito, the co-founder and CEO of VTS. We are a commercial real estate focused leasing and asset management platform. So what that means is we've taken a very, very large but old school industry who's basically managed their entire business on spreadsheets and on paper and put them onto a platform. So for the first time in their lives, they've got access to real-time data and just about all the information they need from their mobile device, iPad or desktop. So exciting times in commercial real estate. The greatest challenges we've had at VTS have been convincing the world's second largest asset class that there's a real hole in the market and that they need a product to help them do their job better. I think in an industry this big where there's this many dollars kind of floating around, it's very hard to change process, right? It's hard to change someone's workflow when they're making a lot of money, right? There's, if the wheel's not broken, why fix it has kind of been their motto. So for us, it was convincing them that the problem actually existed and really kind of hammering them over the head with it like, guys, there's a much better way to do this and the result's going to be more time with your family because you're saving time, more money. You're actually going to make more money and have more time. And it's going to be really easy to use. It's going to be an easy process to change from, going from manual data entry on Excel spreadsheets to using your phone, which you now use for everything else in your life, to use for your job. So that took a long time, and I think the ROI was so high and so fast that allowed us to kind of catalyze, this success across the entire industry. But it was really hard. It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But I think we've done a great job in getting the market educated on the process. So one of the traits that I think a lot of, I don't know if it's every, but a lot of great leaders have are, I guess I would say it's two things. One is conviction, meaning you believe in this thing so much that it doesn't matter how many people tell you you're crazy, you know that it's true. And you won't stop until that happens. And if you look at every kind of great tech company, one of the founders or all the founders kind of have that. And I think that is essential. The second one is the ability to motivate your team to want to get behind this journey to the point where to them, there is no such thing as losing, right? You can speak to this team, and when you leave, they are so fired up about the mission at hand that there's no chance that failure is even a part of that puzzle. So I think for me, it's conviction and just understanding that this problem exists and that someone has to fix this, and you know that you're the person to do it. And then two, it's motivating your team in a way where that for them, they couldn't be more excited to come to work the next day. Because for them, it's not work, right? It's what they do. And I think that's a really special quality that most great leaders have. So what sets us apart from others in our field, I think, is really the industry experience we have on our team. Others have 100% tried to build software in our space, but they never really understood the problem. When I think for us, I think there's 15 people on our team today who are former commercial real estate brokers or asset managers who lived what those people lived for so long that it was very obvious to us how to solve this problem in a way that actually worked for the user. And that's pretty rare. Most of the other historic companies in our space came to the problem from an accounting perspective or a workflow perspective that just wasn't very realistic for the actual user in terms of what they do every day. Our approach was, we know exactly what you do. Here are the nuances to why it's so hard to build software for that kind of problem, but we get it, and we're going to fix it the way that it works for you. So that's been huge for us, and the result has been the fastest growing software company in our industry's history. My co-founder Ryan and I were both in the commercial real estate sector for about 9 years each. He was on the brokerage side, I was on the broker side, and then the asset management side. So for us, we understood the problem really well and lived it for 9 years each. So it was obvious to us, but I think what really inspired us was, as we looked at the broader marketplace, our problem, was kind of to the extent of the size of our portfolio, there were large owners who had hundreds of buildings who had that problem just magnified to the 10th degree. So it was like, wow, if this sucks for us, this is horrible for everybody else. And we knew that if we can do this right, you'd be effectively changing the entire market. And that was really exciting for us and, obviously extremely inspiring. So in terms of individuals or groups of people who've helped us get to where we are today, one person that comes to mind who's spent countless hours with me as we've kind of grown the business since inception is Tom Byrne, who was the co-founder. Actually, wasn't the co-founder, he was the CEO and president of a company called LoopNet, which got acquired for about $1 billion a couple years ago, largest exit in our space. So in addition to just investing, he's an advisor and has spent a ton of time with us from pre-Series A through every round of financing, through our strategic round with Blackstone, and helping us through, one, I think the right kind of investor who's going to actually add value to our team and help us kind of grow the business, but also operationally, what are some of the things we should be thinking about on a daily basis in terms of how we get to the company we know we can become. So he's one amazing investor and advisor we've had. And I think on the strategic side, we've been lucky enough to have the largest real estate investors in the world sign up for our product. Some of them even invest. So Blackstone, who's the world's largest real estate investor, actually made a strategic investment in VTS about 2 years ago, and have been fabulous in spending time with us and thinking through, how can or should the product evolve for big owners who want to manage lots of moving pieces on VTS. So in terms of how I think other companies or founders I think could help us or we could help them. One, I think for us in terms of where the business is going, we're going from being really a software platform to a software/data platform. So, other data sets are really valuable to us, and I'd love to meet other people who have kind of worked with third-party data via API or other ways to bring it into your platform and potentially monetize it. So that's super interesting for us. I think in parallel, we're trying to scale a really big business, so trying to learn along the way. So as we go from 200 people to 400, obviously there's lots of roadblocks and walls you've got to break down. So I would love to meet other founders or CEOs who have kind of solved those problems and, again, always trying to learn. So to the extent I can do that or help someone else along the way, we live for that. So that would be fantastic. So serendipity has been a critical part of our entire company story. So I'll walk you through two stories. Those are my two co-founders. So one is my co-founder, Ryan, has been my best friend since I'm 10 years old. So Ryan and I met at a surfing contest. Yes, there is surfing in New York City. This was in New Jersey. Met at a surfing contest. We were 10 years old, became best friends. After college, he got into real estate. He's a year older than me. And then convinced me to get into real estate, along with a few other people. But he had kind of taken the leap and was like, this is a great business. And we ended up conceptualizing VTS together. So random kind of childhood friend who I now have a business with, and how we'd not met at the surfing contest, which I won, not sure we'd be here. Secondly, our CTO and co-founder Carl, random story. So I was having lunch with a friend, and at the time we had conceptualized the business already. We had kind of prototyped something just to get like a working something in front of people to get their feedback. And I was talking specifically about we really need to find a co-founder who can build the product, who's going to lead the technical vision. And as I'm saying that, table next to me, I heard a couple buzzwords that I recognized. I heard HTML, CSS, words that a developer would use. And I said to my friend, I said, you know what? These guys are for sure developers. So I think I'm going to just stop them and talk to them. And he was like, what are you, crazy? What are you going to stop them? So as they get up to throw their garbage out at this deli, I literally was like, excuse me. They had backpacks on, and they looked like they were fully like just geeking out, which is awesome. So I was ready to go. And I said, are you guys engineers? And they all were. One was a CTO. I said, this is fantastic. I have a question for you. I have this great idea. We're signing people up off of a prototype. Like, it's going to get traction. It's so cool. And, I was obviously pretty excited about it. And the one guy said, where's your office? I said, we've got 2 desks rented at the place next door. Just come check it out. So he was the one dumb enough to come next door and check it out. Long story short, he asked his wife the next day. They just had their first kid, or second kid. He asked his wife, I met this crazy guy who has a great idea, and I think I want to leave my job and work with him. And that guy is now our CTO and co-founder. What we're really trying to accomplish at VTS is we believe that this giant industry deserves an ecosystem, a place where they can go to understand the strength of the portfolios they own, the buildings they own, a place where they can communicate with their teams, but also understand what's happening in a market, right? Think about like a Bloomberg and how powerful it is for the financial services industry. A place where you can go and say, all right, here's what's happening in my buildings, here's what's happening in the market, here are all the guys I work, I can communicate right in this platform with my team and probably save myself hours each day. And I think what that's going to do is streamline just about everything across the industry, but really just bring communication to the forefront and moderate markets. So I think for us, it's building that ecosystem that this industry really needs and today just does not have. So if we were going to change the world through our software, it would be changing the way landlords, people who own large office buildings, interact with their clients. And for those are companies like us, VTS, and probably some of you. So I think helping them streamline and improve the way they communicate with those customers, to us, is changing the world a bit, right? You're gonna look at the way that landlords interact with their tenants the same way that modern day software companies interact with their customers, right? Customer success doesn't exist in commercial real estate, and we think it should. We think they should understand how many touch points they've had with each specific tenant. How happy are they? There's no NPS score in commercial real estate, but there should be. So for us, if we can help landlords manage their relationships better, I think you do change the way that the entire real estate world works, right? They're not called tenants anymore, they're called customers. And we want to make that change.